Welcome to this Cambridge A-level past paper tutorial in which we are going to look at specimen paper for examination from 2025. Our main focus will be on question 2, in which we are required to create or recreate this vector image of an island with a sunset sky. We will then proceed to add some trees as required in the second part of the question. From the question, we are required to create an image, a circular image with a width and height of 15 centimeters. There's a gradient fill for the sky. The area outside the circle is transparent. And then we have to save this as a scalable vector graphic with the appropriate name. And then we are to add images of the trees as shown. And we are also given how each palm leaf should be shaped. It also says that the orientation and size of each leaf is different, and each leaf on the left tree is darker than each leaf on the right tree. In Illustrator, let's create our artboard. Make sure your units are in centimeters and your width and height is 20 centimeters each. So let's change this to 20. Color mode should be RGB. Click on create. Next thing we do is pick the ellipse tool. Click on your artboard once and enter the width and the height as required, 15 centimeters height and width. So we have our circle. Make sure it has no outline, so we click here to disable the stroke. So the first thing we are going to do is to create or recreate the sky, which has a gradient. So straight ahead, I go to my right, look for the gradient tool, and this time around I'm going to drop down this menu here and select orange to yellow, which is a bit identical to what is required in the question. So we can readjust it to suit what it looks like by choosing the gradient tool on your left in the toolbar, and then we try to rotate the toolbar to suit the angle that is showing on the question paper. So something like this. You can bring the entire bar up, and we can still use these sliders to make adjustments. So I can click and drag this downwards. You can even take sliders out by just dragging away. Bring this up, bring this red up a bit. So that's okay. Next, we try to recreate our island. So I'll pick the pen tool, this is my pen tool, and go into the colors and look for something that looks similar to what we have on the question paper. If you can't find a color here, you can go into the color palette here and then try and choose what is nearest to what is showing on the question paper. Okay, so I click OK if I'm good with it. So I go ahead and start drawing my island. So I'm going to begin from the outside of the circle. I bring my pen tool somewhere here, click and form that curve. I bring my pen tool back to where it ended. When I see the anchor, I click. Then I go this way. I'm going to form a little arc here. And then I go this way. Then I'm going to bring my pen tool back here. Then I come down this way. Bring my pen tool back to the anchor point. And then I do this. I want to send it back to where I started. Then I have this. Next, we pick the shape builder tool. We select both the circle and the shape we've just created, and then deduct what is down here. So I pick my shape builder tool, press or hold Alt once you have the minus sign, and then just draw over that portion, then it goes away. I need to make some changes to the island, or if you need to make some changes to how the shape looks, you can pick your direct selection tool, this one, click on it once. Let's zoom in a bit. So let's say I want to bring this hill down a bit. What I'll do is double click on this anchor point and bring the entire thing down. I can do the same for this. Double click on the anchor point and bring this down. I want to move this anchor point a bit to my right, so I double click on it and move the entire thing to my right like this. And if I'm okay, that's it. Now let's try and recreate the sea. So once again, I pick the pen tool, and this time I'm going to select the color white, and then I'll start drawing my waves. Let me zoom in. Let's begin all over again so that we can see. Okay, so I begin from the outside, and so once again I'm going to use the shape builder tool, select the circle, select the white shape, and shape builder tool minus. Now we need a blue part, so all I'm going to do is create a duplicate. So I copy the white one, paste in front, go to my color palette and select this blue color. Once the blue color is selected, I'm going to press the down arrow key just 3 times and to my right like this, and I'm going to select my direct selection tool, click on it once, go to the left corner of the blue shape you've just created. So you see it's out of the circle. So after you've shifted it to your right and down a bit, now we are going to go select it and expand it so that it goes beyond the circle a bit, and do the same thing for the bottom part. And now we select it, hold shift and select the circle. Now we need to take off the excess portion. So once again, we pick the shape builder tool. Whilst you hold minus, just click on that excess and it goes out. So it seems on the right side of our island, it needs to meet the shore at this corner. So we can correct that by using the direct selection tool. Select the shape and double clicking on that corner and dragging it down. Can do that for this as well, and then now we can use the handle to bring this inward and then bring our heel down a little bit so that it doesn't look awkward, like this. So that is also done. We now need to add our clouds. So we pick the pen tool, make sure the color is white, and once again, as I said earlier, you can begin by drawing from the outside of your screen. So if we are done, we can now select our clouds by holding down shift to select the entire thing, and then we select our circle once again and pick our shape builder to hold down minus whilst we take out the portions that are outside the circle. Now I can see some extension of the circle. I think the blue portion is not covering this part, so you can just select it and drag it to your right. And to ensure that it's aligned with the circle, we select the circle once again and select the blue portion, hold down shift, and we zoom in so that we see the portion that needs to go off. There it is. Pick the shape builder tool, hold down minus, and then clip that portion off. Now it seems we need to do the same thing for the island, because this is where, when I select the circle, this is where it goes through. So I think portion of the island is also out of sync. So I'll select, as the circle is selected, I'll select the island as well. Hold down shift, pick your shape builder tool, and minus takes that portion off. Let's go to our left, it's okay. So I think that's occurred when we were trying to reshape this portion to meet the ocean. So I don't think it's anything so peculiar. Now we can reshape the way our clouds look, align them so that at least they look like the way they look in the question paper. So for that, we just pick our direct selection tool, click on the cloud you want to correct, and click on its point, double click on its points. Then you have access to it to stretch or reduce the size or change its angular position. So that's that. We are done with the background, or we are done with the island image. We need to add the trees next. So before we move on to the trees, we are required to save our scene that we've just drawn as island, followed by your center number and candidate number. So I'll go into File. I'll select Save As for now. Rename it as Island. Select the file type as SVG. Then I'm going to add my center number and an imaginary candidate number. Then I click on Save. Click OK when this comes up. Now we're going to recreate or create the trees on a new artboard since we are going to save them separately. So we are going into File, select New with the same size. Just click Create. And to start creating the tree, I'm going to begin with the trunk or the trunks. So I'll pick my pen tool and just draw the skeleton of the trunk of the first tree. So it goes like this, comes this way, and like that. So when I want to take this off, I just press Escape and it goes away. So I'm going to correct this portion by selecting my direct selection tool, and I'll bring this inward a bit like this. I can extend this downward a bit, and I'll fix this corner as well. Now I'm going to add or make the stroke bigger by changing the stroke size to 8. 8 is small. Let's make it 10, and I'm going to change the color to brown. Yeah, the light one. I think it's lighter. So if you're not sure or you feel the color is not all that there, we can go into the color palette here and select something more specific. Yeah, I think this is quite better. I think this portion is still too long, so I'll pick the direct selection to double click on this portion and drag it in a bit. Select this portion and drag it this way. I'm going to increase the size of the stroke a little bit further to say 12. Now I'm going to zoom in and we go to Object and then we expand. Now we can have access to the entire trunk. Let's expand once again to be sure. Now I'll select my direct selection tool, select this bottom part, and bring this down a bit. Now I want to form a curve here, so I'll pick my anchor point tool to add an anchor point here, and click on the convert to curve here. So in doing that, you see it forms these handles here. So you pick the direct selection tool and click and drag to form that curve. I think there's a curve down there, yes. And let's go up. As the trunk goes upwards, you see it becomes smaller. So I'll select one side, bring it inward, select the other side, bring it inward a bit, bring this one to inward, do the same for this side so that the trunk doesn't look distorted. So zoom out again. So I think we are done with the trunk. Let's deal with the leaf. So I'll pick the pen tool, make sure nothing is selected here, select a darker shade of green since we are dealing with the first tree, and then let's draw the leaf. Just on the side, not on the tree. So we have something like this, and this is going downwards like this. I'll come back to form an anchor, go this way, come down once, go in with a curve, come back to the anchor point, and I come out this way and go back in like this. I think this green is quite dark. Let's see if we can get something a little bit brighter. So if you are not sure, or if you drew it and you didn't get it right, you can still use the direct selection tool to make changes. As I said, you double click on an anchor point and move it to, or you can also use the handles to make changes to the curve. If you feel the anchor point is too short or long, you can extend or reduce. So we have our leaf. We're going to duplicate the leaf to cover the entire upper part of the trunk. So I'll begin with one here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in all. And let's get back. Just hold down Alt and drag to recreate another one and rotate it a bit. Now hold Shift or hold down Alt for another one. This time around, I'm going to right click, go to transform and reflect so that it goes the other way, looks the other way. So we have our first tree. We can increase the size of the bottom part of the trunk. Let's zoom in quickly. Pick our direct selection tool. Click on any of the corners. And let's expand the bottom part a bit. And we are to save this as tree 1 in an SVG format. So once again, I go to File, Save, select SVG tree 1 underscore center number and candidate number I made up. So after we've saved this, the next thing to do is to create the second tree. So I'm going to just delete the trunk for this and recreate another trunk. This one is just, I think, straight curved trunk like this. Okay, I think I should have changed it to stroke and take out the fill. Then somewhat a straight tree, not so straight, but like this. And then take this off. Now when we increase the size of the stroke to 12, go into Object, Expand, zoom in, pick our direct selection tool, reduce the size of the top, and then increase the size of the bottom part. So this one comes down a bit, and then we add the curvature down here. So pick your anchor point tool, add an anchor point, and then convert it to a curve. Pick your direct selection tool, zoom in so that we can see the handles, and drag out so that we make the curve. Zoom out again. So the second tree has 8 leaves. So we are going to add 1 leaf more, and we are going to change the color to a lighter green, and we need to rotate and adjust the leaves the way it looks like in the question paper. Let's make a quick reference to that. So we have 4 on the left side, 4 on the right side of the tree. And let me just bring the trunk there. I think the trunk should be behind the leaves. So right click, arrange, send to back. Let's go. This leaf is pointing downwards, just like this one. Sorry. So I already have 1, 2, 3, 4 on one side. So I just need to add 1 to this side, but I need to rotate this downwards a bit to make space for the extra leaf that is coming. So 1 will be at the top. So I'll just hold down Alt. Reduce the size of this a little bit and rotate it upward. And now I need to select the entire thing. Hold down Shift, click on the trunk so that it doesn't select the trunk. Now we make changes to the color. Select a lighter shade of green. and we save this as tree 2. Now we're going to go back into our island and place tree 1 and 2 on the island. So I can just select everything here, click and drag it and drop it on the island scene. I don't want to distort what we have done, so I'm going to select the entire island and group. Now I'll go into the layers panel, look for that group. There it is, and lock it down for now. Select my tree and group it as well. I'm going to place the tree where it's supposed to be on the island, and I'll open tree 1. So with tree 1 opened, I'm going to move that one also onto the island scene. I need to group everything before I bring it here. And I'll need to resize it a bit. I'm holding down shift whilst I do that so that I don't distort it. And when you look at the question paper, the tree on the right is actually in front of, so I need to bring this forward, arrange, bring to front. The colors of the tree trunks don't match. I think I'll need to change the color of this one, so I'm going to right click and group and make sure it matches with this. So I pick my eyedropper to click on this trunk so that it matches its color. Now we can go back and into our layers panel and unlock the island scene. Select it, or click, drag and select the entire thing and group. Now we go to File and Save As. And this time around, we are required to save it with the name Island Scene. So I'm just going to add scene to this and click Save. It's also in SVG format and click OK. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. In the next one, we are going to look at how to draw the birds and animate them across our island scene. You can leave your questions and suggestions in the comment section, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't done that yet. Till I see you in the next tutorial, it's bye.